Okay, Leanna, I will kick it off to you.
Mm. Hi, everybody. Good morning or good afternoon, I think, for all of you. I'm on the West Coast, so it's still morning for myself. So, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in North America. My name is Liana. I am the Senior Partner Success and Education Manager at Jobscan. And it's my pleasure today to either introduce you to the tool to Jobscan or to give you a refresher, but to help you also utilize Jobscan to get prepared for all of the career events that are going to happen for all of you, where you have access to interactions with employers. Okay. So, quick show of hands here. Just give me a thumbs up with the React button here if you have played around or logged into JobScan already. So give me a thumbs up here. One, two, three, four, four. Okay, not the full room. That's okay. So this is probably your first time looking at JobScan. That's fine. We will do a whole walkthrough together. All right. So thank you all for using the React buttons here. I love a React button during this presentation. So sometimes I'll be asking questions and checking in here. So feel free to give me a thumbs up, give me a smiley face, give me a heart emoji, a laugh cry emoji. I'm happy to take all of the reactions as they come, as well as your questions. Feel free to put it in the chat. I will check it periodically as we go through this presentation together. Okay. So what is JobScan? JobScan is a tool to help you get more interviews. And how we do that is by helping you to optimize your application to a specific job description, a specific company, and a specific applicant tracking system. So give me a thumbs up here if you have heard of an applicant tracking system and you understand how companies are using it to make recruitment decisions. Give me a thumbs up here. Applicant tracking systems is familiar to you. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Okay, well, I'm gonna not count staff here. So I think maybe about seven right now. Not again, not the full room. That's okay. So let's take a look at what applicant tracking systems are, how companies are using them to make recruitment decision, and how that ultimately impacts you as a job seeker. So I'm assuming here you are interested in job seeking because you are attending this session. You want to get ready for your career fairs. So this is how it's going to impact you and your online job applications. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now here. Okay. I'm successfully sharing screen. Yes, everyone can see this. Yes. Thank you, Michael. Okay, I saw your head nod. All right. Great. So, applicant tracking systems, folks, or ATS, as I will refer to it for the rest of the presentation. Applicant tracking systems are a system, tool, software, algorithm, and for some companies now, AI, that recruiting teams will use to streamline recruitment processes. Okay. So, what does this technology look like? For example, for a big Fortune 500 company like Amazon, in a single day, big Fortune 500 company like Amazon could receive up to 2,000 applications for a single job posting. That's not a wild exaggeration of the numbers that they receive or the applications that they receive. It's just because they are such a popular company and also just the competitive of the job market right now. A single human recruiter could not manually go through 2,000 applications in a day. So, to scale the job of a recruiter, recruiting teams at Amazon embed or sort of utilize and onboard a applicant tracking system to do this filtering for them. So this applicant tracking system, their algorithm will filter candidates based off of qualifications, based off of skills, based off of education and experience to get a top candidate list. So their ATS generates a report for them to say, "Hi, human recruiter, here are the top candidates from today's pool of applicants." From their top 20, top 30 list is a much more manageable number of applicants for the recruiter to go through and decide who they want to move forward in the interview process. So that's how companies are using technologies like an applicant tracking system in their recruitment process. Okay. Right. So within Fortune 500 companies here, this graph shows companies that have internal ATSs versus external ATSs. But overall here, 100% of Fortune 500 companies utilize an applicant tracking system. Okay. 97.8% of these companies use an external ATS. So they purchase these tools externally, like how we purchase the Microsoft suite to get our PowerPoint, we get our Microsoft Word, we get Excel, things like that. So 98% of companies purchase an external tool, a technology. 2% of Fortune 500 companies actually build in-house ATSs. So these are like Google. Apple. They build these softwares in-house where it's difficult for Jobscan and our market research team to get an understanding of what their algorithms are like. All of these other companies that purchase external tools, we can see what those external tools are. We can do market research on them. We can purchase them ourselves and then run testing to see what the algorithm is going to be like. But all this to say that in your job search, it is going to be impossible for you to avoid applicant tracking systems. In your job search, as you apply online, you are more than likely going to come into contact with one. It is going to be your first barrier to entry. So when we're thinking about applications, we have to think about or prioritize our resume being ATS friendly, ATS accessible, making sure our application passes the ATS to get to the human recruiter. So you're one step closer to getting the interview. All right. So across companies across North America, outside of the Fortune 500 as well, these are the most popular applicant tracking systems that companies can buy. So when I say again, purchasing an external tool, these are the tools here. So I can buy Greenhouse or buy Lever, Workday, iCIMS. These are the most popular applicant tracking systems. Many of these have that core functionality of making a recommendation to the recruiter, making a summary about the candidate for the recruiter, helping them again identify most qualified or top candidates here. However, how they extract that information can look different from ATS to ATS. Not all their algorithms are the same. Not all their criteria is the same. So let's take a look at some differences in here. I want to show you two. So Michael was generous enough to send me the list of employers that are coming to your career fairs here. And these are a list of some of them and the ATSs they use. This is a very overwhelming slide because there's a ton of companies here and they have a ton of different ATSs, right? But I want to show you that, again, most of the companies coming have an ATS that they're using. So you, again, cannot avoid it even though you're going to maybe have interactions with these companies. So let's take a look at some examples of these ATSs, what it looks like for the employer. So these are the systems and softwares that your application is going through and how these algorithms are showcasing your application or your resume to the recruiter. Okay, so let's look at the filters, how they score, how they stack candidates, how they rank candidates. So our first example here is one called Oracle Taleo. So for example here, a recruiter hiring for a marketing specialist role at a company that utilizes Oracle Taleo, they will see this green health bar here as an indicator to the recruiter how well a candidate matches with this open role. So for a recruiter, I can see these two candidates, full green health bar, perfect. They're a really great match for this role. As the recruiter, I will take a look at these two candidates first to decide if I want to move them on to the interview process. If I don't like either of these two, I can go to the next best candidate, next best candidate. But my internal algorithm within Oracle Taleo is already sorting the candidates for me even before I review them. Many ATSs have a visual indicator to a recruiter about the candidate's match. Sometimes it's a green health bar, sometimes it's a percentage match, sometimes it's like 4 out of 5 stars, things like that. So this is what an ATS looks like here. And for this one in particular, these are the companies attending your career fair that utilize this particular system. Okay, so these are the companies that will be attending your career fair that you will have chances to interact with. All right. This is Workday. Workday is a very popular one. For those of you who are actively job seeking, I'm sure you have interacted with Workday. Okay, so different from Oracle Taleo, they don't have a green health bar as a visual indicator to the recruiter, but there is a letter grade ranking system here. So the algorithm within Workday is already providing a letter grade to candidates even before a recruiter actually goes in to review that resume. And what you can see also as a difference is this looks like a spreadsheet. I'm getting bits of information from the candidate's application as displayed in the spreadsheet here. I can see what their current or last job is, how long they've been in the role, what their highest degree is, what their location is. All of this is filterable information for the recruiter so that they can get a more condensed top candidate list. All right, this is Workday. And these are the companies that are attending your career fair that utilize Workday. Okay, so a ton of companies are using Workday. Workday is very popular. This is SAP SuccessFactors, our third example here. They also have a health bar matching, sort of a health bar indicator to the recruiter here, but specifically looking at skills compatibility. So first and foremost, a recruiter wants to see if you have the matching skills for this job description that they have posted for this open role. When a recruiter hovers over the health bar here, a pop-up shows these matching skills. So all the skills you've listed in your resume that match with the job description and all of the missing skills as well. So everything that's listed in the job description that you have not wrote in your resume, we are assuming you don't have these skills. These are missing skills. So a recruiter can simply hover over this health bar here, look at your missing skills section and decide, oh, you're missing this really crucial skill here that we really need for a person in this role, or this is very important to our software here, our internal system, our company culture, whatever reason, right? So let's say for this candidate, oh, you're one of our top 2 candidates as decided by our algorithm, but you're missing this very crucial skill. As a recruiter, I cannot in good conscience interview you, move you on into the interview process because we need somebody who's very, very familiar with this skill here. So you could be a great candidate, but if you're missing 1 or 2 things that are really important to this company, that could also be the reason why you might get the auto reject email of just like, oh, you don't have this, we cannot interview you. Our apologies. Wish you the best of luck. All right. EY, again, attending your career fair is one of the companies that utilize SAP SuccessFactors. So this is exactly how your application will be displayed to recruiters at EY. Okay, I think this is our final example here. This is an example of a Phenom people. And similar to Workday, they have a letter grade ranking system here as well, and as well as scoring mechanism also. So again, we are seeing bits of information in here for the recruiter. We are getting, again, that recommendation by the algorithm of like, these are great candidates, the fit score. What else are there other scores? They're also looking at culture fit as well sometimes. And for this Phenom people software, these are the companies that are utilizing that are attending your career fair. So I think those are 4 different examples of different ATSs, the different information they are displaying to recruiters, but all ultimately still trying to help the recruiter identify top candidates so recruiters do not have to look at all applications that they receive in the whole bucket here. Okay? Awesome. I'm just going to check the chat. I see some little chatter here. Would the matching skills need to be word for word of the job posting? Like instead of Word, it needs to be MS Word? That is a great question and a great segue for us to move into Jobscan to look at different algorithms, how different ATSs parse information, and how we can improve and optimize our resume to make sure that specific ATS is going to pick up all the information that we want it to pick up. Okay, so let's jump into Jobscan right now. Okay, so this is Jobscan Premium, a software that you have access to right now. All right, so Jobscan Premium is available to all of you to help you in your job search, especially with resume optimization. If it is your first time using it, I think for most folks here, you have not yet logged into Jobscan, no worries. A great jumping off point for you is our resume builder. All of your premium features are listed here on the left-hand side, accessible to you. So a great jumping off point here is your resume builder. Resume builder here is designed to help you at any part of your resume journey. So if you already have one ready to go, feel free to upload it here. And what we'll do is we'll take that content and we will readjust it into something ATS friendly, ATS accessible. So when I say a resume needs to be ATS friendly, ATS accessible, I'm talking about how we can make sure our resume is very easily read by the ATS. Many of those ATS examples I had shown you, Workday, SAP SuccessFactors, Phenom people, all of them, they are built off very standard, traditional, chronological resumes. Okay, so they're very specifically looking for section heading, work experience, section heading, skills, section heading, like volunteer work, education, things like that. So it's very, very standard. If you veer outside of that, like you're trying to be very creative in your resume, it might confuse the ATS. So instead of work experience, you write my journey. The ATS will be very confused. So it's like, I don't know what you're trying to communicate here. I'm looking for work experience. What is my journey? Right? So we'll take your content. We'll make sure it is ATS friendly in here. I know that can sound maybe a little bit boring, but these ATSs are text parsers. They are looking for very specific things. So as much as we can, we want to feed the information the way it wants to be fed that information. Okay. Alrighty. If you have a very robust LinkedIn profile, amazing. We can scrape that LinkedIn profile, build you an ATS-friendly resume from the content on your LinkedIn. If not, we can always create a new one, start from scratch. And starting from scratch here, you can choose any one of our ATS-friendly resume templates. You can change the line spacings and the margins as well if you would like to make it a little bit clean up a little bit more. And then all you need to do is just fill in the blanks here. Okay, so we will handle all of the section headings for you. We'll handle all of the formatting. You just need to put in your information. And you can see it gets populated on the right-hand side here. So all your information will be populated here, and then you'll build an ATS-friendly resume for yourself. All right. So I'm not going to spend too much time here because I want to show you the actual optimization process for a specific job posting. Okay, I'll just check the chat really quick here. Okay, awesome. Michael, there is a great question in the chat about how students can access Jobscan Premium profiles. If you'd like to put that in the chat there so that all students can, if you'd like, you can log in as well during this presentation and play along with me if you are so inclined, if that's your learning style here. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So let's look at a job posting from an employer that is coming to career fair. So I picked one, an intern role here from Sherwin-Williams, an employer that's coming to your career fair. So I put up this intern role here for 2026. So this was a very quick search this morning. So I picked the one that was like a bit more entry-level internship role. Okay. But this will work with any job from any sort of job posting on a company's career page. We just need the very core information from any job posting. And when I mean core information, I want to focus on roles and responsibilities, qualifications, and maybe like even preferred qualifications. Like sometimes the job posting will write must-haves and then nice-to-haves. The nice-to-have pieces as well, I also want to take into account as well. Sometimes the nice-to-have will be like, oh, speaking a second language, if you speak Spanish or if you speak French or if you speak Mandarin, anything like that, right? I want to be able to take that into account when I'm optimizing my resume for this job here. So I'm gonna take this, make note of it, right up to about here. Everything else at the bottom, like about the company or any of the legal disclaimers at the bottom, anything like compensations and benefits package, not entirely the most important information for resume optimization. That's really great information for me logistically as the candidate thinking if I want to apply for this role or not, right? So I'm going to copy and paste this job description into Jobscan to optimize a resume. So let's take it here. I'm going to take right up till there and copy this. And where I'm going in my Jobscan profile is clicking New Scan, right? So I've got selecting a resume and paste the job description. Even here, the instructions is to say, copy and paste job description here, aim to exclude benefits, perks, and legal disclaimers. So I just want to put the content piece here of the job description. So that's here. This is a text box, so if I've missed any information, I can always add. Let's say the job description is quite long and you just want to copy multiple sections here, or if I've added too much, I can always take it out. All right, so selecting a resume and job description, I have a ton of resumes here that have been built with my resume builder. Your Jobscan Premium accounts allow you to make as many resumes as you like. So you can have one for accounting, one for finance, one for data, one for business intelligence, one for product. You can have one for admin assistant, one for marketing, one for logistics, one for people's operations. You can have as many resumes as you would like if you are casting a wide net in your job search. So I feel like my finance resume is the more appropriate one for this finance intern role. I'm going to choose this one for this job description. For all of you, you have a choice to scan or power edit. Scan is a very quick report on how this resume compares with this job description. Power edit gives me the same information, but brings me to the editing interface, which I will jump into right now for the demo of this presentation here. Let's jump into Power Edit to now edit this resume and optimize this resume for this role here. So I'm going to click Power Edit. So we are going to now optimize a resume together. Okay, awesome. Here, the first thing you'll see here probably is this score here. This score here is the ATS match rate. What we are estimating your match is for this resume to the job description that you have posted. So this is going to be our great guideline here for how likely we can pass the ATS, how likely it is that we're going to maybe get closer to the interview process, right? Recruiters have to make a lot of decisions. There are a lot of factors that will impact whether or not you get the interview or not. And so this is not like the be all end all of the, you getting the interview or not, or you getting the job, right? This is just sort of like a really great guideline for us. Okay. For those of you who might be very grade oriented and if you might see a low score, please don't find that this too discouraging. That is purely based off how your resume is written currently. The spelling, the grammatical structure, the tenses all play a part in this scoring mechanism here. So sometimes it is just sometimes spelling, sometimes your grammatical structure, all things we have control over to increase our score here. Okay. So that is just the indicator here. Nothing to do with who you are as a human being, who you are as a character, or like how well you perform at this role. Okay. So don't take the score too personally. All right, so that's the first thing I want to see here. But one of the first things I want to update here is update job information. So we'll get a flag here if if from the job posting we aren't able to identify what company you're applying to. This helps us to identify what applicant tracking system this company is using. So here it is for, I want to make sure I'm spelling it right. So I'll take it here, Sherwin-Williams. Copy that here to company name. This is a finance intern. And very importantly, I want to put the URL of the job listing as well. So that's just right up here directly from their career page. Okay. This combination of information really helps us to identify what system or tool they're using behind the scenes. So I understand what boundaries I need to work within to make sure my resume is ATS accessible specifically for their ATS. Okay, let's update the information here. And I'm going to look at searchability. It's the first drop down menu. So it's the first thing we want you to check out so that you get the report of the ATS here. Alrighty. So because I have put in Sherwin-Williams and the URL, our database and our tool has identified that Sherwin-Williams uses the ATS called Taleo. And here's all the things that Taleo does and does not do when reading or assessing your resume. Okay. So Taleo recognizes only exact keywords. So the way it's written in the job description is exactly how it's looking at it in your resume. So going back to that question that we received earlier, would the matching skills need to be word for word of the job posting? Yes, specifically for Sherwin-Williams. Okay. For Sherwin-Williams, the way that it's written in the job description is exactly how I should represent it in my resume. Let's look at another thing here. Taleo does not recognize common abbreviations. So for those of you that have certifications or work in career paths that have specialized equipment, software, platforms, machinery, tools, that you have common jargon as common nickname in the industry, right? That's all fine for a technical human recruiter who might understand the industry. Taleo is a piece of software that is just parsing information. Taleo as a software might not know that like jargon, that those technical, nicknames for different platforms, machineries, tools. So for your application, it's very important for you to fully write out whatever that tool is, whatever that certificate is, and then in parentheses, that abbreviation. Okay, so certified public accountant in parentheses CPA is how you want to display that in your resume. Okay. Moving forward, Taleo does not correctly parse flowcharts. So tables, line charts, bar charts, all of those kind of visual things, Taleo cannot process. Taleo cannot see pictures. It doesn't know what you're trying to communicate when you use pictures or like graphs in your resume. So let's just leave that off. Everything you can communicate, you want to communicate in text. All right. And lastly, Taleo does not recognize different tenses, abbreviations, or acronyms of skills and keywords. So there's a difference between client service and customer service. Taleo is looking for one and not the other. Okay. There's a difference between client service and client services. That S on the end there, changing the tense, changing the grammatical structure. Also, there's a difference to Taleo. It's looking for one and not the other. Execution of events and event execution for those of you in hospitality, right? Those are two different things to Taleo. So whatever's written in the job description is what we should write in the resume. Okay, so let's look at now the key skills that we can add into our resume to beef this up a little bit more, to make this a little bit more optimized. I'm going to look at the chat here, question here. Oh, Annie has a question. I got feedback from posting a URL from couldn't match Deloitte URL to a known ATS. Doesn't mean Deloitte has a proprietary system. Yes, Annie, this is one of the reasons why sometimes we say like some Fortune 500 companies, we have no information of it because they use internal systems.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Or it is very new, Annie. Like, companies adopt new technologies all the time where we just haven't been able to investigate yet.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. So what are the things that we should put into this resume to beef this up a little bit more, to make it a little bit more exciting, to showcase a little bit more optimization? We have it here, hard skills and soft skills. So hard skills here, I get this like red indicator that there are some things missing. Soft skills, I'm all good, so don't have to worry about that. But let's look at my hard skills list in here. So I've got a few things that I'm missing. Things here that have the green check mark means they're in my resume, so I'm all good, right? It's represented in here. It's matching with the job description. Again, job description here, this is what I copy and pasted from Sherwin-Williams' job site from right here, right? So we're identifying all of the keywords. Okay, so let's see here. I'm missing words like purchase order, reconcile, Microsoft Office products, account reconciliation, things like that. I can look at this and then click into my resume to start writing bullet points, to start adding to bullet points. So I can, add things as I need to based off of this list here. But if you do need help with writing a bullet point, you can click on the missing skill and we will generate 3 suggested phrases that you could use in here as a jumping off point. So if I wanted to say assist in the process of reconciling like financial data, perfect. I'm going to paste that right here. And I'm going to see my updated score go from a 72 to a 75. I get a little confetti here because 75 is what we recommend for you to try to get. Okay. So now reconcile is highlighted green. Perfect. It's being recognized. Now, what I will say about utilizing this functionality here is AI is helpful to move things along, to give you a jumping off point, but that is just it. It is a jumping off point. It is not the be all end all. It is still on us as responsible and ethical human beings to validate whatever AI has generated for us. It is an accurate reflection of our experience. I'm not encouraging you to lie on your resume, but this is a great example for those of you who just need an example to work off of. All right. There are technologies here that can help recruiters to identify if you've overly used AI in your applications. The way that you avoid AI detection is you absolutely need to click into this bullet point here and adjust it into your voice. Adjusting it into your voice, again, personalizes this resume, makes it more human, right? We want to be able to make sure your voice is front and center, not AI voice. But again, some of you need help with writing the bullet point. I myself, I'm not super confident in writing my writing skills, so I need help a lot of just like having a jumping off point in here. Okay, so let's look at other things here, like Excel. They did not write Microsoft Excel, they just wrote Excel here. So I just want to chuck that into my core skills section. I'm not wanting to waste a bullet point on that. So I'm going to chuck that into right here. Use that arrow button to just chuck it into my core skills section. And now I have a 78. All right. What's considered the best ATS score for any job in the accounting firm? Is there a score range that you recommend? Okay. I don't have any score details specifically for types of jobs. What we do recommend is 75%. So I've now hit that. When I hit 75, you saw that I had like some confetti on my screen, right? 75% we say is a really good score, solid resume, but there is no one single guarantee that if you hit 75 to 100, you're guaranteed an interview. There are many other things that a recruiter needs to consider before being able to invite you to the interview process. Some of those things have nothing to do with your resume. Some of those decisions, purely logistics, is location. Are you in a location they can hire? Some companies have very strict state laws that have some criteria of like we can only hire people in New York, not out of state. We just can't do that. That is a logistical reason. You could be the best candidate. If you are not within their hiring zone, then you can. Sometimes the location also is because of company culture. They need you to come into the office. They need you to go visit clients for whatever reason. Sometimes it's also just availability. Some recruiters will prioritize candidates who are available right now, right? Who don't have anything on the calendar that will prevent them from starting sooner. Again, that's nothing to do with your resume, but that is a logistical thing that they have to consider in the decision-making process of who they invite to the interview process. Okay? So 75% is what we will consider as a very good solid score for you to aim for. Okay. I will pause here to wait on some more questions. Any other questions, folks? What are your questions or thoughts or comments or feelings about applicant tracking systems, about Jobscan here? Okay. Would in-process master's degree be classified as the highest education? Like in Workday, like we saw in the example, likely. So likely, when you put in your education here, you put your master's degree above your bachelor's, they'll probably take the top one there. So again, in the reverse chronological order in a standard resume, it likely would be. Okay. All right. So searchability, hard skills, and soft skills will be the three main areas that will impact the score here and help you reach that 75 or higher, right? But at the end of the day, one thing that we know is also recruiters are still part of this decision-making process. So while we are prioritizing our resume to be ATS friendly, ATS accessible, we still want the recruiter to have a good time reading our resume, which is why we have recruiter tips here as suggestions that we have sourced from recruiter focus groups. We ask recruiters, what do you love to see on resumes? What do you not love to see on resumes? So we have put all of these suggestions here that will not impact your score up here, but will at least hopefully speak to the preferences of the human recruiter. So things like measurable results. If you have engaged with any of the professional staff here in the room with us to get resume advice, I'm sure you have heard, hey, put numbers in your resume. It is a great way to attract the eye attention of a recruiter. That's true. That is exactly what recruiters are telling us as well. They love to see numbers on your resume. If you do not have numbers in your resume here, you won't get this green check mark. You get a little flag warning like this, but you will not get penalized for this score here. Everything under recruiter tips is specifically, just strictly suggestions for you, okay? Resume tone as well. We ask recruiters, what do they love seeing? What do they not love seeing? There are some words that are overused, some cliches. Like I have had recruiters tell me in focus groups, they're like, Leanna, if I see one more person say that they are a dynamic team player, a passionate and dynamic team player, I'm going to lose my mind because everybody has put on their resume, I'm a passionate and dynamic team player. So if you have things like that, like if I wrote the word passionate on here, right? I will get a little flag here for my resume tone. Hey, we found a cliche in your resume. Maybe you want to just change that for like a second, just in case you want to rethink this. So I can take out the word passionate here, and then resume tonals will get a green check mark to say, okay, cool. No cliches in your resume here. There you go, green check mark here. Alrighty. Last is formatting as well. This is just for ATS accessibility. If you need to change anything about your resume for sections, there are different sections here like projects, volunteering. You can also put your awards and your certificates and your achievements. So for those of you who are doing really cool stuff in class, project is a great place to showcase a lot of the quality of your work. And then style here is where you can find all of the other ATS friendly templates that you can just pick and choose from. Okay. More questions in the chat. Let's see here. Do you have any advice for adding your own voice in a resume while still remaining ATS friendly? As long as you are prioritizing the key skills being in the exact same structure, grammatical structure, spelling as the job description, that is one thing you want to focus on above anything else. Okay. Any advice on how to add certificate section in your resume, like for a CAPM certificate? Just right here, we have a certificate section. You can add a certificate here, add a certificate, and then where you're getting the certification from, what date. If you wanted to add the URL, you could here. So there is a section where you can add a certificate. Okay. Okay. Let me take that out actually. Confirm. Perfect. Okay. Once you are happy with your score and your resume, you can download it here as a PDF or a Word document. And if you're really, really, really happy with this resume, you can click the star to save it as a new base resume. So this will be a version of your resume that is saved that you can choose for your next scan. So it'll be added to one of the sort of menu options for you to choose from for the next job that you will scan. All right. So that is the resume section here. I'll pause here for any other questions. Okay, sounds good. Now, question for all of you here. For those of you who are actively job seeking, with the last job application that you submitted, did you or did you not include a cover letter? So give me a thumbs up if you did include a cover letter for those of you who are job seeking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, not a ton of people. That's okay. Now, cover letters are not a thing that is a mandatory part of job search. Not all job postings will ask for them anymore. A lot of recruiters will weigh the pre-screening questions heavier on the decision-making process. So for those of you who will encounter on an applicant tracking system after you submit a resume, there's pre-screening questions. Really take your time to go through them properly. Recruiters are spending a lot of time on the pre-screening questions. Those are also one of those things that like are filtering people out. If you're answering them in a way that's like, yep, doesn't meet our requirements, that is one of the reasons why you might get the auto reject email as well. So just pay attention to the pre-screening questions. However, cover letters can still be impactful in your job search, even though, again, kind of going out of style, not everybody is asking for it. I want to show you a little bit of statistics in here. So at Jobscan, we're very dedicated to market research. That includes having really close relationships with recruiters. So annually, we do sort of a recruiter survey, and we put all the survey results here in something we call the state of the job search. In one of the things that we ask recruiters, we ask them, what are the factors that influence the interview rate? So what are the things that help you to increase your interview chances, right? Cover letter does make an appearance. By submitting a cover letter, you are increasing your interview chances 3.4 times. So between you and a candidate who doesn't submit a cover letter and you do, you are the more likely candidate to get the interview here. Okay, so that's to say that if you have the time, it is worth your time to also add a cover letter to your application, not just your optimized resume, right? And when we ask them a follow-up here, sort of like about the cover letter, what do they want to see? We put that in an infographic called like what makes a candidate stand out. And specifically here, writing a personalized cover letter that highlights the company's values is something that really helps the recruiter, to see you as a potential candidate. So they do not want a regurgitation of your resume. They don't want it technical. They want it very personalized. They want it to highlight the company's values. All right. So, excuse me. So in Jobscan, we have a cover letter generator for you utilizing AI. Again, caveat here, AI is helpful but not perfect. Always validate that the cover letter is an accurate reflection of your experience. And what we do here to generate a cover letter, we are looking at your resume, we're looking at the job description, and we're just taking those technical pieces here to write something very, very short. Because we cannot write for you how you interpersonally connect with that company's mission, vision, culture, and values. Those are the things you have to add your own flavor to, your own text, your own voice, your own personalization to this. So we can get you started. Again, this is another place where this is just a jumping off point, but you have to go in here, you have to edit, you have to add your own notes about the company's values. So you have to do the homework. You have to take it across the finish line. Okay, we can get you started. You can rewrite this with AI as many times as you like with your premium accounts. However, again, we are only mentioning slightly the technical pieces of your resume. And again, we don't want a regurgitation of your resume. The cover letter has to be quite personalized. Okay, so that is how we have a jumping off point for you for your cover letter. Oh, tons of questions. Okay. Does the ATS parse differently or the same for Word doc and PDF? For the most part, it is the same. There will be some ATSs that will identify like we cannot take any other document other than a Word doc and a PDF. So if you are on a Mac, I think one of the native softwares within a Mac, the Apple system is downloading as a .txt. If you are doing that, it will be a corrupted file in some of the ATSs. Some ATS cannot read .txt. So that's one warning I will have. Word doc versus a PDF, totally fine. But anything else outside of that, I was like, we'll sort of say a little bit of a warning. Okay. Does the ATS prioritize more on hard skills or soft skill keywords, or should I just focus on reaching a high score? Leo, that's a difficult question to answer because it really depends on the role. Obviously, there are some roles that are very soft skills heavy, like mine, like right now. My role is a customer success manager. My role so much is about relationship management, presentation skills, public speaking skills, facilitation, all things considered soft skills, right? So, but soft skills are the most important things in my career track, in my industry. So those would be quite important. So, Leo, what I would say is whatever is mentioned the most in a job description, that's also what you want to mention the most in your resume. Okay. Do you have to go through each, do you have to go through each application working the resume to suit the application? Yes. So back here, let's see here. Okay. What makes a candidate stand out in 2025? Showcasing measurable results. We saw that putting numbers in. But the number two thing that makes a candidate stand out is tailoring your resume to match the job description. So it is no longer working for you or impactful or a good return on investment for you to only have one resume that you just to all employers. Employers are wanting something tailored to their job posting. And that's also what the ATS is doing. ATS has a very strict checklist of skills they are looking for that is based off of the job description that the recruiter wrote. If the job description is identifying you need customer service skills, public speaking skills, communication skills, and you are not writing that on your application because you have one generic one that you are, the ATS is going to be like, you're not a great candidate, right? So you have to tailor each one for each resume for each job posting because not all job postings are the same. Not all ATSs have the same checklist that they're going through. Obviously, within one career path, there will be some overlap, but for sure, to maximize your chances at making it past the ATS to make it to the interview, you want to tailor your resume to every job description. Okay. Do you have any recommendations for someone who's trending between career roles? For example, if I'm applying to a job where the skills overlap, which is Faisal, this is a great question for the professional staff that you have access to in your career centers. I think for career advice, for career transition, that is something that you absolutely can utilize your career services for. Okay. Do you have any tips on optimizing your LinkedIn profile? Okay, Jeffrey, great question on LinkedIn profiles. Let's move on from cover letter and we will get to LinkedIn. All right. So you can download your cover letter here, but what we find in the applications these days, it is just a text box. So you can click in here to copy paste into your application as well. All right. So now I have a resume. I have a cover letter. I'm going to just save this in my job tracker. It's just going to prompt me really quickly before I leave Power Edit to say, do you want to save this resume? Not today. I'm not going to save it, but I am saving this job in my job tracker to make sure I am keeping track of all of the applications I'm interested in, all of the places I've applied to, and so on and so forth. So here it's just reminding me, these are the things we have saved. This is the job description. This is the resume that we worked on together. All good. Let me save this. Perfect. Okay. Now we are in my job tracker. As you can see here, these are the places I have saved jobs. So jobs I want to apply to. I have jobs I did apply to, jobs I'm interviewing for, offer, or jobs I have been rejected for. So this is an organizational tool for me just to keep track of all the things that I'm doing. Okay. My saved jobs here are jobs pulled from multiple different places. So they're jobs that I copy pasted, like the ones we saw from Sherwin-Williams. But there are also jobs that I have saved from our job tracker, our job board, as well as other job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, Monster, Handshake, all of those places. So I'll show you. So we have a job board in here that will specifically show you jobs within your location. So whatever your location is set to based off of your last resume. Am I coming in clearly? I feel like I can see myself a little bit lagging in here. Just want to make sure that the connection is all okay. Give me a thumbs up if it's all okay. Audio and video is okay, folks. Okay, thank you all. All right, just wanted to make sure I wasn't losing connection here. So my job board is showing me roles in Vancouver, British Columbia on the West Coast. So that is where I am located. If I am looking through and window shopping for roles, I can click Save Job, and this will be saved in my job tracker. Additionally, if I would like to install a Google Chrome extension, so this is for Google Chrome users, just type in Jobscan. We only have the one extension. Install this. You will get a Jobscan button on multiple different job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, Monster, and Handshake, so that when I'm, let's say, looking at different jobs here, I can read through this and my job scan button is right here. So I can click Save Job, and then our extension pulls all this information from this job posting, and I can click Save. And again, it will go to my job tracker here, right here in my saved pile. Okay. So once that's done, if I want to pull this over to apply, like I did send the application, I can set the date and the date of the application to remind myself. It's been 3 weeks since I applied for this job. I haven't heard back, probably didn't get the role. That's okay. Let me move on to the other 100 jobs that I have saved here. Okay. If I get the interview, amazing. I can set interview date and time, which will give me reminders that I can sync with my Google Calendar for other alerts, as well as I can just put in a lot of information like, the questions I might want to ask in the interview, any of the homework I've done about the company to make sure I understand what the company does, what their mission, vision, values are, things like that. When I save it again, I'll get reminders. And then the day before the interview, we'll get a notification to say, hey, you have an interview coming up with Sherwin-Williams. Here are some interview questions that you could practice. Here's some interview do's and don'ts. And then the day after the interview, we send you another prompt reminder to say, hey, how was that interview with Sherwin-Williams? Did you know that only about 20% of candidates actually say thank you to their interviewer? You should send a thank you note. So we've got thank you notes for you that you can copy paste as well so that you make a good impression on the interviewer. So you can again copy into your Outlooks, your Gmails, things like that to make a good impression on your interviewer. Okay. Then if you get the offer, amazing, put in the offer information, or if you get rejected, then it's okay. We'll move on to the next one, the other 100 jobs that you have saved in here. All right. So that's your job tracker as an organizational tool within Jobscan. Now, finally, so that we can get into LinkedIn and I don't take up more of your time, is we have a LinkedIn optimizer. Now, LinkedIn is quite important in the world of recruitment. So now going back to our infographics in here, right? Another factor that influences interview rates is an optimized LinkedIn profile. So give me a thumbs up here if you have a LinkedIn profile that you update regularly. Give me a thumbs up. So caveat again that you update regularly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, not everybody again in the room. All right. 94% of recruiters will go to your LinkedIn profile to vet you as a candidate during the interview process. 87% of recruiters utilize LinkedIn as a sourcing tool, so to window shop for candidates. LinkedIn is very much tied with a lot of ATSs. Many ATS companies know that LinkedIn is such an important part that they have built in paths for recruiters to connect their LinkedIn profile with ATSs so that they can also keep tabs on candidates that they're interested in. Okay. And then the ATS is just constantly updating or like looking at, did you change jobs? Did you change locations? Did you get a new certificate? All of the updates that you make, like maybe there's a recruiter out there who has flagged your profile as a interested candidate, as a candidate they want to keep an eye on, right? So you never know who's looking at your LinkedIn profile. But all this to say that in 2026, it is very, very important for you or very valuable for you as a job seeker to have a presence on LinkedIn because that's where recruiters are. That's where recruiters are window shopping for candidates like yourself. So our optimization tool helps you to optimize your profile for a specific type of job or a type of industry, a type of job or a type of industry. Okay. So just putting my URL in here. This is my LinkedIn profile. And it's going to ask for at least 3 job descriptions. So 3 here because we want to make sure we get it, we as in the LinkedIn optimizer tool here, gets a sense of the type of job or the type of role that a type of industry that you're going for. Very different from the resume. Resume is optimized for one job description, one company. LinkedIn is about how I showcase myself as a candidate for a type of role or type of industry. So all these previous jobs here are the jobs saved in my job tracker that I have access to, right? So I'm going to choose this one here. This was the one from Sherwin-Williams. This is another one I had here. And then I'll just choose a different one. Maybe a junior accountant one. Why not? Just toss it in there. Okay, these are the type of roles that I'm going for. Okay, so 3 here, I'm going to scan. And my scan report is going to give me feedback, not just based off the job descriptions, but also the LinkedIn algorithm. What is the LinkedIn algorithm doing in making a decision on how it displays my profile to recruiters? Okay, 44% match, not terrible. And we can see here, these are the categories of information that we're looking for and feedback in our LinkedIn scanner. So first one here, basic information, has more to do with the LinkedIn algorithm here. So I get a flag here for my location. I didn't fully provide my state or my province information in my profile. Now, this is a searchable field for a recruiter. A recruiter could be like, I'm looking for an accountant in Texas, right? But if I didn't put my location as Texas, like I put it as like my city, like Houston, let's say, like, as an example, I have accidentally removed myself from a search result because I didn't put Houston, Texas. I just put Houston, right? So that's a searchable field for a recruiter here. So you want to have that information there so the LinkedIn algorithm can see, oh, yes, you make the criteria for the searchable field for this recruiter. Okay. Open to work is another one that is positively seen by the LinkedIn algorithm. If you're having open to work there, the LinkedIn algorithm boosts your profile for the first 60 days. Now, how you personally feel about having open to work on your profile, completely up to you. I'm just here to report that open to work is seen as a positive thing by the algorithm. And if you need more context and logic behind why this is important, all of our question mark bubbles here are clickable so that we give you a little bit more context of like what's happening behind the scenes, what the LinkedIn algorithm is doing, or what the recruiters have told us in terms of why this is important for them. Okay, here, let's look at high impact. High impact are talking about the 2 sections that the LinkedIn algorithm pulls keywords. So headline and profile summary are 2 places where I want to put in a couple more keywords to showcase myself as a good candidate for like a financial analyst, finance intern type of role. So finance intern, accounting, junior accountant, or management are words that I should be sprinkling into my headline and my profile summary for this type of industry or this type of role. That will change depending on what you put in as the job descriptions or the type of role that you're going for, but at least we'll show you what is sort of the most popular words across the job descriptions. All right. Work experience here talks about accessibility of my information. I get full green check marks here because in my LinkedIn profile, all of the places I have worked are linked. In my LinkedIn profile, a recruiter is only 1 click away from learning more about me, the companies I'm with, right? So I'll scroll down here to my work experience section here, and you will see that everything is linked in here. All of my information is public access for recruiters. Okay, so I'm not making a recruiter work very hard to learn more about me. And that's one of the things that makes recruiters maybe want to like hop off of your LinkedIn profile. If you make this information private and inaccessible, that's difficult for a recruiter to make a decision about you. All right. Okay, key skills based on the job description here. So this is a great sort of bank of information to know about the most common skills listed across the job descriptions I have included. So accounting, Excel, finance, management, all these things are mentioned multiple times in the job description, not that many times or 0 times in my LinkedIn profile. These are things I should start to sprinkle in here. For the person who asked about transferable skills or like things, transitioning between careers, this is a great exercise as well to just put in a couple job descriptions and see what comes out of a key skills section to look at, again, what are the most common skills across these different things that I'm looking at. So you can use that as an exercise as well. But for the most part, feel free to engage with all of your professional staff in your career services teams to talk about career transition. All right. Lastly, folks, we have education and tips and tricks. Education here, just if you meet the educational criteria, some job descriptions will ask for a specific graduate degree or certificate. Maybe we'll flag that for you. And then tips and tricks come from our recruiter focus groups again. What do recruiters love to see? They love to see things like a vanity URL. So a URL that has your first and last name. And that is how you can get a little bit of feedback from your LinkedIn profile, go to your LinkedIn profile, click on the pencil icon where it recommends, make your changes based off this feedback, rescan this to see how much you have improved from this 44% here. And that is how you can use Jobscan to not only build an ATS-friendly resume, you can optimize the resume as well, generate a cover letter, as well as optimize your LinkedIn profile to increase your chances at getting interviews. All right, that is the full Jobscan tool. That was a lot of information because there's a lot of features, but I'm still here to take more questions. Okay.
That was incredible. I'm glad that we recorded this. That was such great information. It's going to come in so handy for our students tomorrow at the virtual fair and, of course, moving forward beyond that. Liana, thank you so much for sharing your insight and this tool, this very, very valuable tool with our students. That was a phenomenal presentation. So informative. And we really appreciate the partnership. So I want to give you a huge thank you for your time today and sharing your insight and answering our many student questions. Thank you, students, for asking such great questions in the chats. Really detailed, spot-on questions. Really impressive to see that. If there are no questions now, I want to give students the chance to ask questions now before I kind of jump into this part 2 of this workshop. So students, if you do have any questions at this point, feel free to raise your hand and then you can unmute yourself and ask aloud. You'll still have a chance to ask questions once I'm presenting in the chat if you'd like, and Liana will be able to answer those questions. Albin, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
So I was wondering if this recording would be available to us because I came late and I missed a lot.
Yes, no worries. Anybody that has actually signed into today's workshop through Handshake will all get a copy of this recording.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Michael, there's a question in the chat that I didn't get to. Lana has a good question about getting past these ATS. I want to share one final infographic here about other efforts that you can make to circumvent some of these technologies here. Okay, so LinkedIn is one. LinkedIn is a great way for networking. But again, I want to showcase this here, what makes a candidate stand out. Some of the things that the recruiters are reporting has to do with networking. So networking to build relationships and following up professionally after submitting your application. All of these have to do with that human interaction, that interpersonal connection you make with somebody who it makes hiring decisions. That is one way that you absolutely can go past ATS completely. Getting a referral to a company, networking with employers is a great way to get your resume or your quality of work in front of the recruiter. Your LinkedIn, again, as a way to showcase your work and your portfolio, also a great place to showcase your quality of work. I have seen recruitment decisions purely be made off of a LinkedIn profile where a recruiter has looked at a student's project and was like, oh, amazing project. I would love to have a conversation with them. Immediately put into the interview process without even looking at their resume. So this part about putting yourself out there is an important piece also to stand out in the crowd, stand out to recruiters, have those interactions with recruiters. So your job search is not just your resume or an optimized resume. It is not the be all end all. And that's why events like your career fair is so important. These are your chances to go meet with your employers, go and, make a good impression on employers, people who make hiring decisions. This is your chance. This is a great return on investment of your time. So Lana, I hope you have registered for all of the career fairs and career events that are happening so that you have a chance to showcase your portfolio in front of employers immediately with their human eyes before an ATS even looks at it.
Thank you for plugging our events.
No problem, Michael. So take it away with your career fair prep. Yeah.
Okay. I do see one other question here. I'm wondering if that's for me or for Liana. How can we network with recruiters? I always send a message to recruiters after I apply to a position, but I don't get any reply back. I have my take on this, and I was planning to address that, but Liana, please feel free to chime in.
I will talk about a technical piece here, Michael. So the technical piece here about LinkedIn. Okay, so LinkedIn, yes, recruiters are quite bombarded with many messages all the time. LinkedIn changes their algorithm from time to time as well, stopping your ability to be able to respond to them. What I will say about LinkedIn, though, for a recruiter, they have very different rules from LinkedIn users like ourselves who are looking for jobs. When recruiters reach out to you, it is a token system. So this is just insight for the LinkedIn algorithm for all of you, okay? So I know some of you are grad students also, you might have some professional experience already. Recruiters are also not allowed to just message anybody on LinkedIn. They also have rules that they have to follow. LinkedIn Recruiter tokenizes it so that they only have like maybe like depending on their own package, because again, premium for recruiters is very different from premium for us. That is a very different licensing system for them. Depending on the package that they purchase in their LinkedIn Premium for a recruiter, sometimes they get 3 to 10 tokens a month. So the only 3 to 10 candidates that they can actually talk to or reach out to in a given month on LinkedIn. So this is sort of another side to your question here. If a recruiter reaches out to you and if you are not interested, still respond back, because what that does is it gives back that token to the recruiter because you have responded. And on LinkedIn, you are flagged as a high response candidate. So if a recruiter ever speaks to you, know that they have looked at your profile. They are sort of making a bet that like, this is a good candidate. I really want to talk to them. Probably they respond to me. The more you respond back, the more that is like a image of your profile that you are a good responser. That means more recruiters will reach out to you as well. So that's one thing of just like a technical piece here on LinkedIn, specifically for the LinkedIn algorithm. I just wanted to share as insight. But how to network with recruiters and not getting a reply back, I will let Michael share insights here.
Yes, I'm actually planning to address that in my portion. Lana actually followed up with another another message in the chat for you. She was asking more about filling out applications online.
Let me read here. I would recommend when filling out applications online. Okay, Lana, for what I notice as applications here, usually resume is going to be the first thing. Upload your resume here, cover letter. There's usually a part for like putting your LinkedIn profile or your URL to your portfolio. So you have a digital space for your portfolio. That's going to be a great way there. So depending on the type of work that you're doing, like I'm just going to make an assumption here, graphic design is one that I think that usually has a portfolio, or actually a lot of computer science students that I work with as well also have a portfolio. Having it be in a digital space and you fill it out in your application, usually there's a spot for an application that will have it. The ATS can parse out different links for a recruiter, and they can hop into your different sort of links. So either hop into your LinkedIn immediately or hop into your portfolio. So if you have a digital place to put like house your portfolio, that's a great way, but it's not really getting around the ATS here. If you're applying online, you're going to go through an ATS. So there's no way to get around that except for through a referral.
You for addressing that. I do see Holly do has the hand raised as well. Holly, did you want to unmute yourself and ask your question real quick?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Sometimes during the fair, you realize that those who are actually doing or supposed to do the recruitment aren't there themselves, but rather having a rep. And while speaking to the rep, they'll tell you that, oh, okay, so pass on the message to the main recruiter when we get to the office and blah, blah, blah. In that case, you might have prepared very well to meet face to face with the actual recruiter so that you can make your impression. In that case, how do you go about it? Do you still have to write to the recruiter, to the main recruiter, even though the person hasn't been, on the fair ground, or just leave the message as you have given it to the rep so that they will pass it on to the recruiter when they go back to the office? Thank you.
Sure. So thank you for asking your question. I just want to make sure I fully understand what you're asking. So you're wondering when you meet folks, when you meet recruiters in online forums, like just the proper way to follow up with them? If you could maybe just clarify your question a little bit.
No, during the fair, like what is going to happen at Baruch tomorrow?
Got it. Okay.
Sometimes some of the recruiters will even email you to hoping to see you at the event.
Okay.
Now you get to the event wanting to see the recruiter, the main recruiter who mailed you, but only find reps who are not actual recruiters, who cannot even make any decision, but yet representing the company by way of giving you the flyer or letting you know what goes on in the company. And my question is, do you then bypass them to ask of the recruiter's email, or maybe do a follow-up to the direct recruiter, or you leave your message to the reps that you have met at the job fair?
Great question. And I'm so glad you asked that because I'm sure a lot of other students have probably wondered the same thing. Any chance that you have with a company rep and or recruiter, I would take advantage of that. Most of the time, if not all of the time, the reps are always in touch with the recruiter. And we actually had these kind of scenarios when we were still doing fairs in person before the pandemic. A lot of recruiters would come, a lot of reps would come, and the students would only stand on the long line to speak to the recruiter, thinking that that would make more of a difference. But at the end of the day, the recruiters would always tell us, please encourage your students to talk to our general reps, because at the end of the day, they all discuss things with the recruiter in general. So any way that you can learn about more about a company, their culture, their opportunities, feel free to do so with one of their professionals, one of their reps, or one of their recruiters, whoever you're already in touch with, because it's just going to be a chance for you to get to know a little more about them, their opportunities. And at the end of the day, if they're impressed with you, they will let the recruiter know, as long as you've expressed interest.
Thank you.
I hope that helps to answer your question. It was a great question. Okay. So Liana, thank you so much. Are you okay to stay on for a little bit in case students have questions in the chat, to kind of address them in the chat while I'm presenting?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Give me a second as I share my screen here. All right. So once again, for anybody that might have joined late, my name is Michael Kalish. I work in Baruch Star Career Development Center. Our center works very closely with all 16,500 undergraduate students from all three schools at the college, for Zicklin, Weissman, and Marks. We collaborate very closely with the grad career centers from all three schools as well. Tomorrow's fair is actually open to all students at Baruch College, undergraduate and master's level students from all three schools. So I just want to preface that. This is going to be a very basic introduction as to what to expect at a career fair. Hopefully this is validating what a lot of you already know. Many of you have maybe already attended fairs. For some of you, this might be the first time. So we just wanted to go over some of the basics. So a career fair is generally an opportunity to network with potential employers, learning about their industries, businesses, job functions, a little more about their culture, giving you the chance to ask questions. You're going to have brief conversations with members from various different companies, and you'll be able to develop an understanding of their overall application process. Some of them might be very different. So you'll be able to ask about how long the application process is, what is expected of you. At the end of the day, the responsibility to prepare is on you, hence why we're having this workshop today, as well as various other events. So resume building, and we're so glad that we were able to combine today's workshop with Jobscan, because so much of what Liana discussed really will come in very handy for tomorrow and moving forward. So a resume, hopefully you all have an up-to-date resume. If not, no worries, like we can help you with those things. But you want to make sure you have an up-to-date resume in time for the fair tomorrow, and have a clear and concise objective discussing really ideally what you're looking for, an internship, a full-time job, what area are you looking in, being very clear about that, putting education credentials, your GPA, professional licenses, certificates, anything on there that you feel could be deemed as relevant or important to a recruiter when they're looking at your resume for a potential opportunity, an internship, a full-time job. You want to make sure you're putting current and previous relevant experience, demonstrating all leadership and campus involvement. Employers love these kinds of experiences. They want to see that you're involved. They want to see that you have a well-rounded resume, that you're part of student clubs, or that you're in a leadership role, that you're volunteering, or you're doing community service. Especially if you're lacking formal work experience, or if you don't have relevant experience, there's a lot of other things you can fall back on, even class projects, relevant coursework, skills. These are the kind of areas you're going to want to focus on. And then, of course, your education credentials. If you came from another school and you received an associate's degree prior to coming to Baruch, or if you have a bachelor's degree, all of that should be on your resume, with Baruch now being listed as the most recent, that you're currently working on a degree at Baruch. So really, really important that you include this information as clearly and concisely as you can. Again, we can help you with these kinds of things. We have a resume writing guide on our website. I know the other career centers also have guides to help you through this process. All right. Before the fair, you want to make sure you have some kind of a personal pitch, the experience of talking about yourself. At the end of the day, it may sound very easy because we've all lived our own lives. So everybody thinks that talking about ourselves should just come easily, but it really doesn't. For a lot of people, this can be a challenge. This can be a little nerve-wracking, a little anxiety-provoking, and being able to talk about yourself sometimes can take a little bit of experience and practice. So make sure you prepare at least a 30 to 60-second pitch, which highlights your background, your strengths, experiences, really what you're looking for, why you're interested in a career or an opportunity at the company you're now speaking to, like tomorrow when you're talking to companies. Make sure you sound confident. Make sure you practice this, whether it be with a family member, a friend, a career counselor at Baruch. You just want to be comfortable talking about yourself, what you're studying, why it is you decided to major in whatever it is you're majoring in, and just generally what you're looking to do, a couple years down the line, 5, 10 years down the line, some of your overall goals. Really, really important to be able to do that. And then, of course, you want to study the list of companies that are attending the fair tomorrow. I'm going to briefly have a demo. Sorry, I didn't even go into slideshow mode here. There we go. Give me just 1 second. Okay, a little bigger now. All right, so I am going to do a demo in just a little bit to show you all on Handshake how to actually search for the companies if you don't already know how to do that. You also want to demonstrate enthusiasm and initiative, learning about their company products, services, current events. This should go without saying, but at the end of the day, they want to know that you're interested. They want to know that you've done your homework and research because that'll show that you're more invested and interested in an opportunity with their firm. Okay. Before the career fair, so you want to have some questions, some answers to common questions prepared that employers will frequently ask. So the tell me about yourself is probably the most common lead-off question. So this is where your pitch will come in really handy, just being able to talk about yourself and what prompted you to want to speak to the rep that you selected a session with. What is it about your background or your skills that you feel they would be interested in based on the research you've done? Kind of trying to work all of that in there. It's almost like connecting the dots. Why are you interested in a position at this company? So being prepared to talk about that in detail. Why should we select you for this position? Which is like another way of saying, you know, what makes you unique? What makes you stand out for this role? Because they probably have a lot of other applicants. And then do you have any questions for me? At the end of the day, they're most likely going to ask you that. And you always want to have at least 2, maybe 3 questions prepared to show that you're truly invested, truly interested in their company culture, in their opportunities, and just learning more. Some common questions that you can prepare to ask them at the fair, typically at the end of your chat with them, would be what qualities are you looking for in potential employees? What are some of the tasks and projects I will be involved in? What kind of training or orientation will I receive? Typically, you know, companies have large HR departments and trainings for new employees and new hires. Could you describe a typical work week or a day on the job? What is the company culture like? These are all really good, strong questions. And what is the application or interview process like? Some of the processes can be lengthier than you might expect. So just asking that to manage your expectations can be really, really good. Okay, so video chat etiquette. So many of you have already participated in virtual classes. Maybe you haven't attended a virtual professional event. So it is important that you do keep your camera, your video or your camera on unless you're otherwise instructed. Always find a quiet space. You don't want to have any unnecessary background noises. It can get a little distracting or embarrassing. So you want to make sure you're finding a quiet space where there's very little to no interruptions so that you're comfortable being on video and having your sound turned on when you're talking. If you're not speaking, like if you're in a group session tomorrow and other people are asking questions, feel free to mute yourself just to avoid any background noise and just to be professional about that. Most video platforms do have chat functions. Handshake does as well. This is a great way to ask clarifying questions when somebody else is presenting or speaking. So if you have a really great question, you don't want to forget it, you can always put it into the chat. This will especially come in handy if you're in a group session tomorrow. And then lastly, give yourself at least 5 to 10 minutes to troubleshoot technology before the event. We've been doing virtual fairs for a number of years now, and it's always unfortunate when a student is having tech issues and it prompts them to have to show up late to their sessions, and then the employers reach out to us saying so-and-so no-showed. So just please make sure that you're using, I believe it's either Chrome or Firefox. Those are the ones that work ideally with Handshake. Try to avoid Internet Explorer. It's not as compatible. We will be sharing information about all of these kinds of details. Either today or tomorrow, one of my colleagues is going to share information out to all registered students so that you know the proper platforms and browsers to use to avoid and minimize any kind of disruptions or tech issues. Okay, moving right along here. All right, so during the fair, so attitude really is everything. You want to make sure that you're remaining positive because that will really radiate, and employers are always excited to speak with students that are happy to talk to them. It really creates a really nice first impression. You want to make sure you're comfortable introducing yourself with a firm handshake. That's when it's an in-person event. Always have good eye contact, strong body language, sitting up straight so they can see that you're really taking the experience seriously. During the fair, you just want to be honest, be yourself. At the end of the day, they're people, you know, recruiters are people just like us. They just want to get to know you and decide whether or not you might be a good fit for the opportunity. At the end of the day, you know, even if they don't feel you're a good fit, they're generally very open to helping you and walking you through different experiences and understanding where you're at, what area might be good for you. So they're in this to advise you as well and to help coach you through the process. So just know that, you know, try to kind of take that weight of the world off your shoulders and just know they're just people who are trying to get to know you and understand what might be a good fit for you in the work world. Use name repetition once someone introduces themselves. Try to refer to them by their name, make it a little more personable. Being courteous, friendly, project confident, talking about your different projects, talking about who you are, and just being very courteous and polite. Making sure you're listening if they're telling you about a particular program or something about their company culture. Make sure you're listening. That could actually transfer into a question that you might have for them later on. Like, oh, I noticed you were telling me earlier about XYZ program. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? It sounded very interesting. That'll show that you were paying attention, that you're genuinely interested. Being able to discuss your strengths, but not pushing them on the recruiter. If they happen to ask you, tell me about some of the strengths that you feel you possess or what makes you stand out for this opportunity, then of course you want to talk about your strengths, maybe even providing an example of why you feel you have those strengths. Being conversational, try to develop a relationship. At the end of the day, like I said, these are people, just like you and I, so they're just trying to get to know you. Be very respectful of their time and always end with a thank you. Thank you for their time. So that's really important that you just put that out there so that they feel appreciated. Okay. Definitely don't sell yourself short. At the end of the day, you are very unique. Everybody has their own story. So just remember that. You might feel very intimidated because you know that they're interviewing or meeting with other folks and other students, but you do come with your own story and your own unique set of experiences. So try to own that and try not to sell yourself short. Definitely do not ask about benefits, pay, hours, or any other things that will be discussed once you are being considered for the role. So this is considered frowned upon. You definitely don't want to ask that, especially when you're initially meeting a recruiter. Try not to dominate the recruiter's time. Try not to pretend to be something that you're not. Just be genuine with them. Generally, they're going to be able to pick up on ingenuity. So that is really important. Don't leave without inquiring about next steps or what are the next steps in the hiring process. Thanking them for their time and reminding them of your interests. Really, really important that you don't leave without stating these things. Okay, so post-event follow-up. So the virtual event is now over. Now what? So try to gather contact info from the recruiter or company employee. Connect with them on LinkedIn afterwards. Set up some time to chat with them one-on-one after the event. Hopefully, this will be a bit more of a casual, personal way to chat with them, ask them other questions that may have come to your mind after you had the chance to speak with them during the fair. And then really following up gives you that opportunity to ask questions in a very safe, less intimidating environment, where some of your questions may not all get answered during the fair itself. Okay, so I'm going to do a little demo here. Give me a second. All right, so you should all still be seeing my screen. So this is what your Handshake account looks like when you first sign in. You want to make sure you click the events option on the top left, and then on the next screen, click career fairs at your school. When you do that, the fair for tomorrow is listed right here. So you just click on that. If you're not already registered, I would highly suggest that you do so. Something unique about virtual events compared to in-person. An in-person event, you register and then you just show up and you wait on lines and you talk to recruiters. Whereas the virtual events on Handshake, not only do you have to register, but you also have to actually sign up for sessions to meet with the companies. Registering alone will not allow you to speak with any employers. I'll repeat that. Registering for the fair alone will not allow you to speak with any employers. You have to actually sign up for sessions. If you have not already done so, we would highly suggest that you do so. I'm on the main screen on the student side of Handshake. You would want to click the Available Sessions tab, where you'll have the opportunity to scroll through the different companies that are registered, and you could see what sessions they have available. Some of them are group sessions, some of them are one-on-one sessions. One-on-one sessions are all 10 minutes long, whereas the group sessions are 30 minutes. The group sessions allow for up to 50 students to enter. So companies will sometimes use group sessions as like an opportunity to do like a mini info session. Sometimes they'll have a presentation. Other times they will just allow students to loosely ask questions aloud, allowing the other students to hear those questions and answers. They all do it a little bit differently. Some companies have only created group sessions and others have only created one-on-one sessions. If you don't see one-on-one sessions, it could be that either all of their one-on-one sessions have been already filled, or they just have only created group sessions, and that's how they're looking to engage with group students. So just know that, if you're not finding one-on-one sessions, make sure you've signed up for a group session. That might be your only way to actually speak with a company. All right, so this is really the way that you can sign up for different sessions with the companies that are attending tomorrow. Once you've signed up for a session, you could click on the Your Schedule tab, and whatever sessions you've signed up for will appear in this section. So that will essentially be the schedule that you have for tomorrow. Another perk about the virtual fair is compared to the in-person fair, when students would come to the in-person fair, they would show up at like 11:15, 11:30 for a 12 start time. and then they would wait online to talk to the recruiters for several hours. They would talk to different people. Whereas the virtual fair, students don't have to attend the entire event. We of course encourage you to, but we understand a lot of students are interning, a lot of students are working. They may not have the opportunity to attend all 4 hours of the event. So if that's the case, if you know you're only free for 2 hours or 1 hour, you would only sign up for sessions during the time frame that you're available. Okay, we get that question a lot from students. Do I have to attend the entire event? The answer is you don't. Of course, we encourage that you do. The longer that you attend, the more recruiters you get to speak with. But there is a lot of flexibility when it comes to this. Okay. Are there any questions about the handshake process, about signing up for sessions, about really what to do, and how to manually or how to navigate this entire system? Are there any questions at all? See, there's something in the chat here. Okay, what to expect in the group session. Ina, I think I addressed that, but if you still are wondering, let me know. Okay, will we be asked these questions in a group session with the company's rep? Chances are the group session won't be feeling like a one-on-one or an interview. It's going to be more the opportunity for students to loosely ask questions about the company culture, and about their application process. And again, sometimes the companies look to use the group sessions as to have like mini presentations. They'll share their screen, they'll have a PowerPoint, and then they'll take questions afterwards. Others will just have the entire session as a loose Q&A for students. So it's going to be a little bit different depending on the company and how they want to engage. I see Jeffrey, you message here. I'm a transfer student starting the semester. I haven't received. Good question. Okay. Hopefully, our goal is to have active handshake accounts for all new and transfer students by later today, if not tomorrow. This is a common issue that we've experienced at the beginning of every semester. But our goal is always to make sure that the new students and transfer students do have active accounts so that you can register and speak with employers. And that's another reason why we waited to have the virtual fair a week plus into the start of classes rather than the first week, knowing that a lot of students would not have active handshake accounts. So I hope that addresses your question. Great question. Okay. Hala, I see you still have your hand raised, but I think that's from earlier. So if you did have another question, feel free to ask it right now. All right. That does conclude my portion. There is a brief QR code here. Give me a second. So if you wanted to learn a little more and just get some general tips on virtual career fairs, feel free to visit this QR code. It's a section of our website that talks a little more about that. And again, all of you will be getting a copy of this workshop today. We've been recording this. All of you are going to receive a copy of this. We were so happy to have you attend. At this point, I'm going to just loosely take questions. If anybody does have questions, feel free to raise your hand and then you can unmute yourself. I know it's a lot of information that we've shared. I see Liana has hopped off. Okay. Hopefully everybody found Liana's presentation to be very helpful, to be aligned with attending the fair tomorrow, to kind of just ramp up everybody's level of knowledge and what to be aware of and how to prepare. Just to get to the recruiter question from earlier, somebody had asked about properly talking to recruiters. So one thing that I like to suggest to students is LinkedIn can be a very powerful resource, and there is a lot of Baruch alums on LinkedIn. And so if you go to the Baruch College LinkedIn page and you click the alumni tab, you're able to see the total number of Baruch alums. I think it's just over 143,000 people on LinkedIn that identify as a Baruch alum. And there's various filters. You can see what people are doing, what they studied, where they're currently working, like the industry. And you can filter that based on what you're interested in. And once you filter and you find people that are working in certain companies or a certain industry who majored in CIS or whatever area you're in, you could take a look at their LinkedIn profile and get a sense as to what their career trajectory looked like leading them up to where they are now. And if that resonates with you, feel free to connect with them and always edit the message, the note that you send to them, and indicate, introduce yourself, indicate, I was perusing your profile. I was very interested. It really aligns with some of my overall career goals. I would love the opportunity to chat with you for 15 to 20 minutes virtually for a coffee chat at your convenience, just to pick your brain. And you're not going to hear back from everybody when you do that, but that's a really nice way to put yourself out there, put your feelers out there, and to network with folks that are in the industry that you could potentially see yourself in. It's really invaluable information and insight that you'd be able to learn from folks that are currently in the industry. And the one thread that you have in common with them is that you're a Baruch student and they're a Baruch alum. So it's not like you're a total stranger. There's that little thread there. Okay, take a look at the chat here. What exactly does following up after the fair look like? What's the best practice? Great question. Okay, yes. In addition to sending an email and staying in touch with them to ask any other questions you have, connect with them. Feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn. It might actually be a nice touch when you're meeting with them, and if you feel like you've got a good vibe, like this is someone you could see yourself connecting further with, it might be polite to just say, do you mind if I connect with you on LinkedIn? Just to ask them that, because I always appreciate when people ask me that. So I just wanted to put that out there, but definitely an email is nice to kind of keep that conversation going and to stay in touch with them, to ask any questions moving forward about their company, about the application process, when applications open. So that would be my advice on that. Somebody asked privately, if you don't have a lot of work experience, how should you promote yourself to the recruiter if you haven't had an internship yet? Great question to the student that asked that. So the areas that because I actually do a monthly internship seminar, and usually that's made up of mostly freshmen and sophomores looking to get their first internship that have very little to no work experience or no internship experience under their belt already. And so things that you want to focus on are class projects, relevant coursework, volunteering, community service, skills, any languages that you speak, technical abilities, relevant coursework, all of those kind of things you're going to want to focus on. Even other work experience, even if you worked in retail, if you worked at a fast food restaurant, if you work as a server or a bartender, those are all work experiences. Not all companies are expecting you to come in with 5 to 10 years of relevant work experience that's directly related to the industry. They realize that students have to start somewhere, and there's a lot of relevant skill sets that comes from a lot of retail and fast food kinds of roles and bartending roles. For example, somebody who's a bartender, that shows that they're on their feet, they're conversing with the public, they're handling lots of different personalities, they're handling things under pressure, they're memorizing drink orders, they're dealing with a lot of things that could potentially transfer to someone being a financial analyst and working with different clients. It's all in how you brand yourself. It's all in how you frame your experience and connect those dots. So if you do such a thing, if you do that with confidence, and you talk about the skill sets that you have and where you got those skill sets from and how you're looking to further develop them, all of that will really help you land your first internship, amongst many other things, of course, interviewing well, practicing, coming to our centers. There's a lot of other things as well. Other questions? Anything else that I can address? I see we're at the 2 o'clock mark, so I want to be sensitive to time. Any other questions at all? Okay. Well, I want to be respectful of time. So thank you all so much. Let me just stop recording.